up, y'all? We are back with another edition of DNVR Rams live in the home studio style Winners Lounge. I am Justin Michael, just got home. It's been a long day, fun day, really great atmosphere. One of the biggest crowds in Canvas Stadium history. I thought was rocking. I mean, well over an hour before kickoff. The students did a great job of filling in. They were loud. They were in it. By the fourth quarter, definitely fizzled out a little bit, but I understand, man. It's hot on that the east side of the stadium. It's tough to sit out there for like 4+ hours. I'm not gonna ramble too much, especially in a 3-score+ win. This was an encouraging step in the right direction. I mean, they certainly left some meat on the bones in this one. I wouldn't call it a perfect win by any means. And I mean, Jay Norvell talked about that post game. You know, he mentioned how for a lot of the game he was pretty upset, but he was proud with the way that they responded, in particular, the way that they closed out the game. Obviously, the really only thing that matters from this game is Torrey Horton's status. We don't have any official updates. We are going to play some post-game video from Jay Norvell here in just a second. It's his introductory statement from the post-game presser tonight, as well as my first question to him, which was, can you give us any update on Torrey Horton's status? They didn't have anything they could say tonight, which was not shocking. I certainly don't want to speculate because I've just seen too many weird things over the years where a guy gets carted off the field and then, he's back out there like the next quarter. I've seen other times where people, have full-on tears or really devastating injuries and they finish the game. So you never really know. It obviously did not look good with the way he kind of came there after that catch in the third quarter. To me, it looked like a hamstring issue. Again, though, that's just purely speculation. Like, I don't want to put that out there. We don't have any type of confirmation or anything like that. Hopefully, we're able to get some type of update on Monday. I wouldn't be shocked, though, if they play coy. I mean, obviously, you've got a big week 3 matchup coming up, and his status, his ability to participate it's a pretty big factor in that one. So we'll kind of see how the Rams play that out. Obviously, prayers up for Torrey. I mean, the last thing that CSU can afford would be any type of significant injury to him. That would just be brutal to CSU's goals this season. The Rams did take care of business. Like I said, not a perfect win, but they are 5-1 over their last 6 games at home, going back to last year now. That's encouraging, starting to make Canvas Stadium a place that's hard to travel to. I mean, for a long time, I don't know how many times I had to get on this post-game show and talk about how, the visiting locker room on a Saturday night, that was the biggest party in Fort Collins. And it's nice to finally hear some silence in that opposing locker room, which is right by the media center, essentially, where we do the post-game pressers. A really fun atmosphere from the start. Obviously, they retired Lieutenant Colonel John Mosley's number 14. Fitting start as well with Torrey Horton housing his first touch, 78-yard punt return for a touchdown. I mean, it felt like everything was rolling early. I did have an opportunity to go up 2 touchdowns in that first quarter, decided to play it kind of conservative and kick a field goal. I went back and forth on it. I personally would like to see the team go for it there just because, if you don't get it, you're making them go 98 yards the other way. I felt like the opportunity to really slam the door there with the second touchdown was kind of on the table. Again, I think that's one of the many things Norvell has talked about. Like, this team has to learn how to play to their full potential, and they're not there yet. Now, I would say this was a step in the right direction for this program. I was kind of surprised, to be honest, with some of the negative reaction I was receiving online with what the offense was doing tonight. Again, like, were there some missed opportunities? Without a doubt, a couple of missed throws here and there, but I thought Braden had a really nice game. But I mean, anytime you can run the ball for almost 7 yards a pop on 40 carries, it's not like it was a small sample size. That's really encouraging. And even more so than the actual yardage, I think, was just the ability to run the ball in key situations. Like, for the most part, they were able to run the ball when they wanted to, but they were able to run the ball when they needed to. And that was just something that CSU could not do last year to save their lives. And it killed them in Boulder. It killed them against UNLV. I mean, there were multiple opportunities where you're sitting there with a lead. And if you can just run the clock out, if you can control possession, it's game over, both at the end of the first half and at the end of the second half. I was encouraged with the way that CSU was kind of able to lean on that ground game, to execute the 4-minute drill, to control tempo of the matchup, and basically to keep themselves in position from it ever getting out of hand, or, basically being in a spot where you might be sweating a little bit. Now, the start of the third quarter obviously was not tremendous. I mean, you come out, go 3 and out on 3 passes. Ironically, everyone's complaining about the lack of pass game. Then, that first series in the second half is exactly why it is important to be able to lean on the ground game, is because when things aren't going great in the passing game in this offense, it can be brutal. They were on the field for 28 seconds. That could have been a really bad spot for the defense. I like the way they were able to respond there. They obviously did give up the 50-plus yard passing touchdown in that third quarter. Dude went untouched. I mean, just got torched on a slant there. Definitely some type of a breakdown in the secondary. I'll have to go back and rewatch that and see if I can pinpoint what exactly went wrong. Felt like UNC had some success across the middle with some of those slant routes for sure. Obviously, the big one was that 50-yard touchdown. But overall, I don't have a ton to complain about. Like it wasn't the most polished performance of all time. There were definitely some things I'd like to see get refined. But I mean, a 21-point win, given the circumstances, I'll take it. Coming off of a 52-0 loss, like this was definitely a step in the right direction. And honestly, you're right where you expected to be going into week 3. You've got this massive 3-week stretch coming up here with CU, UTEP, and then you've got the trip to Oregon State looming as well. But we'll kind of see, what the offense looks like. I did find it interesting that Norvell mentioned that while they are encouraged with the direction that the rushing offense is going right now, I think they focus so much on that to an extent, like maybe the passing offense in particular, when they'd like to go up tempo, is not quite where you would think it would be at this stage of the season. I'm sure that's something they're going to work on, going into this CU matchup. But again, though, especially in these tight games, like being able to run the ball is really big. And you have 246 yards on the ground. That's the most of the Norvell era, surpasses the 209 they had in the win against Hawaii in 2022. Tops last year's high mark of 183 against San Diego State by, very significant margin there. Can't do that math off the top of my head, roughly 75 yards. 6.2 yards per carry on 40 touches for a group that looked really good. I mean, they got Morrow in the mix. They got Damian Henderson in the mix. Keegan Hollis had a huge game. Justin Marshall had a big game. He did have the fumble, obviously, which is something you've got to clean up there, especially on third down on a screenplay. You can't have that happen. Just unacceptable. But man, is he explosive, and came really close to ripping off like a 50-plus yard rushing touchdown. I definitely need Torrey back, though. I mean, that's really the only thing that's going to matter that comes out of this. Like, I'm really encouraged, and we're going to talk about all these little things that CSU is doing right and the reasons that I feel like this program is going in the right direction. But obviously not having Torrey would be tough. So prayers up for number 14. We were hoping for a really big game from him today. He did have the 78-yard punt return for a score, showed why it's dangerous to ever put the ball in his hands in those situations. But we'll have to see. Here is Jay Norvell postgame. This is his introductory statement, as well as his answer to my question on Torrey Horton's status.
Just want to start off by thanking our fans and our crowd. What an amazing atmosphere tonight in Canvas Stadium, and I understand it's the third largest crowd in Canvas history, fourth sellout. And just got to really thank our fans. I thought our band was outstanding, and our administration, all the hard work that they've done, John Weber and his staff, to make game day special. And felt like big time football out there. It felt like big time college football, and that was really awesome to see. Guys, we're a work in progress as a football team. I think we're like most teams in America. We got some good kids. They do what we ask them to do. They're working their tails off, and they're trying to get better. And I was pretty irritated for most of this game because I just want our guys to play up to their potential. And, we do it at times, we scratch the surface at times, but I was not happy for most of this game. But I'm very, very proud of a lot of the efforts that we had tonight. We had some young players really step up. Caleb Goody had his first touchdown. Keegan Hollis had a nice game, coming off his knee injury. Kenyon Agers had 2.5 TFLs as a young kid that hadn't played much. Our offensive line, Coach Best has done such a fabulous job bringing those guys around. We had 40 carries, 246 yards rushing, and a bunch of backs carried the ball. That was impressive. We had the one turnover on a screen, and when you have a turnover on a screen as a coach, you hate that. It's a safe play. It's not a high risk play, and when you get a turnover on a screen, it just really sticks it to you. We played hard on defense, not many explosive plays. It was a good night. It was really a special weekend. Getting to know the Mosley family. What amazing family, what an amazing group of people that have accomplished so much. And I just thought it was outstanding how our administration honored them. And it was great to be a part of. I was humbled to be able to spend time around them. And so that was very, very special. And it just shows you what kind of place CSU is, where people like John Mosley can come and accomplish all the amazing things he accomplished. So pretty special weekend, pretty special night. But like I said, we're just getting started as a team. We have a lot of improvement to make. We have to get better in a lot of areas. I think we'll gain confidence from tonight's game. But we're going to see a lot better opponents as we move forward, and we've got to continue to improve.
Do you have any update that you can share on Torrey Horton?
Torrey, I don't have his status right now. I know he did not come back into the game. And so hopefully, it won't be serious enough where he misses too much time. But it's too early to tell right now.
Jay, did you forget?
Too early to tell regarding Torrey Horton and his status. Obviously wanted to play that there to set the scene. Obviously, it's the most important thing to come out of this game. I thought so much of what he had to say kind of sums up this game perfectly. There's a lot about it that you'd like to see improved. And obviously, I think this passing offense has a potential to build off some of the explosives they showed. Right off the bat, they were able to create some big hitters, which was encouraging to see after not having any against Texas. But we will see what happens with Torrey Horton. Obviously, I certainly have him in my prayers moving forward. I mean, not just from a football standpoint. He's a good dude. He's one of the hardest workers I've ever been around. He's really genuine, and it's just rare to have the type of talent that he has and to be that good of a person and that hardworking and just such a team first guy. So obviously we'll all be hoping that ends up okay there. Real quick, I do want to shout out our friends over at Shady Rays. Get ready for the season ahead with quality shades built to last. Our friends at Shady Rays have you covered with premium polarized shades that won't break the bank. They're an independent sunglasses company that offers a world-class product that's rated 5 stars by over 300,000 people. I wear Shady Rays while I do everything. I mean, we wear them at practice. I wear them when I'm out walking the dog, when I'm poolside, when I'm doing chores. I mean, what's awesome about it is they're really durable. And I have peace of mind, if for whatever reason, I mean, these things are pretty impressively resilient. But if I, for whatever reason, maybe it falls off my face, I run it over with my lawnmower, I don't have to worry about it. They're going to hit me back up. They're going to replace them. No questions asked. Every single pair is backed by lost and broken replacements. Shady Rays, they have got some of the best eyewear around, and they do right by their people. Exclusively for our listeners, Shady Rays giving out the best deal of the season. Head to shadyrays.com. Use that code DNVR for 35% off polarized sunglasses. Try for yourself. The Shades rated 5 stars by over 300,000 people. I also want to talk to you guys about Toyota, the official vehicle of DNVR, proud partner of CSU Athletics. Trucks have always been a part of Toyota's DNA. For generations, Toyota has built durable legends destined for greatness and perfect for Colorado. Whether you're conquering off-road trails or hauling the weight of the world, there's a Toyota truck that's just right for you. Check out the 2024 Tacoma or the return of the iconic 2024 Land Cruiser. Toyota offers 17 models with available all-wheel drive or four-wheel drive like the Epic 4Runner. They also offer more low and zero-emission vehicles combined than any other automaker to give customers numerous choices to reduce their carbon footprint. 16 hybrid vehicles to choose from, like the Tundra iForce Max hybrid truck. Not to be outdone, Toyota SUVs take command on the road and on the trail, so you can explore the road less traveled without sacrificing smooth city rides in SUVs like the RAV4 and Grand Highlander. Toyota, a proud partner of CSU Athletics and the official vehicle of DNVR. Appreciate all of you that have stayed up late night with us here. If you wouldn't mind hitting thumbs up on YouTube. Shout out to all of those Ram fans in the Toyota chat. Shout out to the Dion dorks as well, who are out here coping. Tough night out in Lincoln. You hate to see it. All right, let's get into some takeaways here. Like I said, 246 yards on the ground. That's nothing to scoff at. I do think they are going to open up this passing offense in a major way. I thought we saw some flashes with it. I mean, Vince Brown had a big time play. Torrey Horton had some plays through the air before he went down, obviously. But the play of the night from an offensive standpoint was the 40-yard bomb to Caleb Goody. It was just a perfectly placed ball from Braden Fowler-Nicolosi. I mean, you couldn't put it any better than that. Dropped it in a bucket. He makes throws like that just remind you how special he is and what his ceiling is. And, you know, like I said, there were a couple that he missed. There was one where he missed, behind Jordan Ross on third down. There was another one where I thought he had a perfectly placed ball up the sideline to Caleb Goody, and the defender just made a pretty good play. But that 40-yard bomb was something else. And I mean, that's what this offense can be. And especially as you can lean on this ground game, create some play action opportunities and kind of chances to really, test a defense's discipline with the speed they have out wide, man. Like, they're going to be dangerous. Even outside of Torrey Horton, like, you see what guys like Caleb Goody bring to the table. Armani Winfield can fly. I know they haven't really quite unleashed him to his full potential yet, but you're seeing some of these sophomores break out. Jamari Person had a couple of catches. Caleb Goody did what we knew he was capable of after a really great August. And it's encouraging to see some of these guys that we've talked so much about, that we kind of forecasted as potential breakout candidates. And they're really starting to do it, on game day. Keegan Hollis is a guy, if you had been paying attention, I had been talking about him a ton. I wrote 3 weeks ago that I thought he'd probably be the front runner to be running back 2 based on the touches and what he was doing with them. He had a great game today. We've heard a lot from Kenyon Aggers. He got on the field against Texas. Norvell talks about how he certainly did not look out of position. He had 2.5 tackles for loss in this one. That's a true freshman going out there in the trenches and making an impact. Yeah, I'd like to see a little bit more pass rush moving forward. Gabe Kershke did get a couple of hits on the quarterback coming off of a sack last week against Texas. That's encouraging. I think the Wisconsin transfer, I think he's going to be pretty solid. I also think UNC did a good job of getting the quarterback out of the pocket in the instances in which they did, kind of want to try and create something through the air. Other than that, they did a good job of getting the ball out of Castelli's hands quickly. It looked like he went down, the UNC quarterback as well. So hopefully he's okay. Wishing him and UNC as a whole, just wishing those guys nothing but the best moving forward. I got a lot of love for UNC, got a lot of friends that went there. And I thought it was cool that, we played for Ag Day. First time that CSU and UNC have played since 2016. I've made it pretty clear how I feel about playing FCS teams. There's just very little gain. Some might say nothing to be gained out of playing an FCS team. But if you are going to do it, at least do it locally so you can prioritize, some type of community benefit. And, frankly, like I'm not trying to throw shade or anything like that, but there's a big difference between scheduling a Northern Colorado versus a Montana versus a South Dakota State, North Dakota State, teams we played in the past. If you're going to play a team, you might as well play UNC. Historically speaking, you're always going to be superior. You want to be able to play your local front range teams, but you obviously want to have a schedule that's intriguing, and that's a tough balance. I mean, we've talked about that a lot the last week between the dilemma of needing the money of going to Texas and like how do you balance that of wanting to start some momentum and getting some positive trajectory versus, well, we also got to pay for everything. I don't envy those athletic directors one bit. I'm excited, man. I'm encouraged about the direction. Was it a perfect performance? Definitely not. You had that lapse in coverage on the 52-yard touchdown, I think it was, on that slant play. That wasn't great. You had the turnover, Justin Marshall fumbles after, really looking great out of the gate. That was discouraging. A couple of plays here and there on 3rd and short where, you wanted to line up and run the ball and maybe didn't get it. But it's just little things here and there. You're nitpicking. What was important, I thought that they really did a good job of controlling time of possession. I thought, one of the things that I don't think it's factored into the defensive success or lack of success at times is sometimes even when you're rolling offensively in the air raid, it can be kind of a challenge for your defense. And I think back to that Ag Day last year actually is a perfect example of this against Utah Tech. You're hitting on like a 78-yard passing touchdown. That's great. One hit, you're done. Boom. That's awesome. You got 6 on the board, 7. Obviously, if you capitalize with the extra point, but you're also putting your defense right back out on the field, and they might be gassed at times. Just being able to run the ball with more consistency in key situations when you need to be able to do it, like in a 4-minute drill or like late in the second half where you just want to run the clock out, get one more score and not give UNC an opportunity to respond. Like these are little things that are going to pay major dividends as the season goes on. We do have some people hopping in the Toyota chat asking for an update on Torrey. We talked about it at the beginning here. Don't have an official update on his status as of yet. I will update you guys when any more information is available. Getting into some of the key stats here. We've talked a lot about the ground game, so I don't want to get too repetitive, but 246 yards, as I've already mentioned, on the ground. That is the most of the Jay Norvell era in Fort Collins, 426 yards. Still have not passed for 200 passing yards in a game. It didn't have to today. So that's not really a concern to me at all. I love that they went 4 of 4 in the red zone. You can debate about whether they should have gone for a touchdown early on in that first quarter or not instead of settling for the field goal. I didn't hate it. For one thing, you go up 2 possessions. No, it's not the most aggressive thing. No, it's not necessarily how I would have played it. I probably would have rolled the dice knowing that the offense would have had to go 98 yards the other way if you didn't get it. But as I tweeted, I actually had not seen Jordan Noyes kick a ball until today. I mean, he was in a boot all at camp, didn't get the opportunity against Texas this past week. I thought it was encouraging to see him kicking confidently, rode a bike home too. So I imagine he's doing okay. All these things are encouraging, man. The lack of turnovers, you got 1 pick through 2 weeks. That's a great step in the right direction. Need to work on some ball security stuff. Second week in a row, you've had a running back put the ball on the ground. Kobe did it last week and it didn't get caught or reviewed, fortunately for him. But you had the turnover today. And when you did that, it obviously, put the defense in a tough spot. They had to defend a short field. Ended up giving a touchdown up on that drive. I thought, and I'll have to go back and rewatch it on the replay again, like covering these games live from the stadium. Sometimes I don't get the best replays on some of this stuff. I thought on the play before CSU got called for pass interference, I believe it was Dom Morris. I thought the receiver maybe trapped the ball against the ground. It was kind of a bang, bang. It happened fast. They got up. And to UNC's credit, you get the snap off, you get the play, and then CSU gets called for pass interference very next play, and then they get the ball, like the 2-yard line or whatever. They end up capitalizing. Those are the little things you've got to be better. And that would have been a way, if you would have had more of those types of mistakes, that really could have compounded, and that would have been the great equalizer. Penalties and turnovers. That was the one thing you couldn't do in this game to give UNC an opportunity. And to the Bears' credit, I thought they did a good job of capitalizing when CSU did have those self-inflicted wounds. But to CSU's credit, a pretty clean game for the most part. Like, you want to see them come out in the second half and execute the offense better than they did those first couple of touches. I think they went 3 and out on their first 2 possessions of the second half. Maybe they got a first down on that second one, but then punted shortly after. But the point was, you had a chance there to really step on the throat and put them away. If you do that, fourth quarter would have been a little less nerve-wracking. I mean, you're up 3 scores. It wasn't a situation like you're sitting there panicking or anything like that. But just little things, little things here and there that you have an opportunity to improve on. I'm not going to sit here and ramble about them and act like it was the end of the world or anything like that, because I thought they did a lot of things well in this one, and more than anything, just running the ball with consistency, hitting on some of these big plays through the air. No, they didn't throw for 500 yards. They didn't have to, but I thought they hit some timely big plays through there when they needed to, and more than anything, that 40-yard bomb to Caleb Goody was just, it was gorgeous. I do want to shout out some individuals here. The player of the game, I'm going to go Keegan Hollis. I think it's a really cool story. Former walk-on. He tore his ACL right before his senior year of high school, didn't get any offers. He was a wide receiver at Cherry Creek. Was kind of viewed as a guy coming out of high school that just ran really fast, But he ends up walking on at CSU, earns a scholarship in his first year in the program, and then ends up tearing his ACL again. Brutal. Not only is he a speedster, I think he runs hard, and you could see it on that touchdown he had. Him and Avery Morrow both ran really hard on those touchdowns they had. Both were massively important. We're pretty close on my preseason prediction of 4 players will rush for a touchdown at some point this year. We got 3 today alone between Hollis, BFN on that scamper, which was set up perfectly by a strong run game. Again, so many of you kind of complaining about leaning on this ground game. Set up that easy opportunity for BFN to go into the end zone untouched early on in the game. It allowed the Rams to control tempo, when it mattered at the end of the first and second half. A lot of really encouraging stuff there. Some other guys that I give helmet stickers to, these are just individuals that I felt like deserved being spotlighted here in the postgame show. And we'll obviously talk more after I get a chance to rewatch this game late night tonight. And then I'll maybe go through tomorrow and do a takeaways audio only podcast. You can get that on Spotify, Apple, wherever you listen to podcasts. I'll also talk a little bit about the JoJo McIver, CSU hoops basketball commit they picked up tonight. Landed him over Oklahoma State, which was encouraging. Oklahoma State's got some money to mess with. Nico Medved really recruiting at a high level. You love to see it. Getting back on track here, sorry. Some helmet stickers. I'll give BFN a helmet sticker for this performance. 17-26 for 180, 1 touchdown. More than anything, it was the timely throws. He had the rushing touchdown as well, which you love to see. I think his decision-making has been really solid here these first 2 weeks. Has done a good job of just not putting the ball in harm's way. And even the pick that he had against Texas last week, like, he just threw the ball a little bit late and off his back foot. I mean, Torrey had a step. I don't think it was objectively a horrible decision. Live, it kind of looked like he was throwing it into triple coverage. In hindsight, you realize he got it up late. That allowed another DB to kind of recover. But I really liked what he did tonight. I think he took another step in the right direction. Caleb Goody gets a helmet sticker. Sophomore wide receiver, had his first career touchdown. 3 catches for 52 yards to lead the Rams tonight. Torrey Horton gets a helmet sticker, obviously. 78-yard punt return for a touchdown. God, is he electric. I'll give Avery Morrow one. First rushing touchdown of the season. Picked up some really hard yards when the Rams were trying to close out that win there. Didn't end up, giving UNC an opportunity to do anything. I know they got a couple of plays off there at the end with Jonah Chong in the game, but more or less allowed the Rams to put it to bed. And I think that's a testament to, how much this staff trusts Morrow. Now, it is clear that based on the rotation and the reps, like, we're seeing he's not going to be featured the way that he was in 2022, and he shouldn't be. You've got more talent. He's had some injuries, obviously the off-field stuff as well. But, there were a lot of times over the last 2 years where when the Rams really needed to run the ball, like a situation where you can't afford to put it on the ground, you got to get this 3rd and 2. I mean, they would go to Morrow. And I thought that the fact that he got some late carries was cool, because that's a guy that at one point, was the basically the center of your offense in 2022. They couldn't pass the ball very much outside of deep shots to Horton. He was a big part of what allowed them to be competitive. He's kind of fallen out of the rotation a little bit here, just because they've brought in more talent and, you got a lot deeper backfield, but he's been a good teammate. And I mean, it's cool to see him, get some carries there. I would give the entire CSU offensive line helmet stickers. Anytime you have 4 or more players, total 5+ carries and all average 4.8 yards on the ground or better, you're getting some traction in the trenches. And I want to make sure that I shout out to the big boys up front. Did a good job in pass protection as well. Linebacker Boom Jock led CSU with 9 total tackles. We've got a helmet sticker for him. Had a huge play on 3rd down. Great tackle in open space. They try to do a little swing pass to the boundary. Covers a ton of ground, wraps up, makes a really crucial tackle to get off the field. Really love what we're seeing out of Boom Jock. I think he has an opportunity to be a really solid linebacker in this system. Kenyon Aggers, true freshman, 5 total tackles, 2.5 tackles for loss. You love to see that. And lastly, we'll get Patty the Batty. Patty Turner, CSU punter, averaged about 49 yards a punt, 2 50+ yarders, 1 inside the 20. He's had a great start to the year. Really has mastered the rugby punt and just giving your team an opportunity to get their gunners down there. He does a great job of doing that little delay, not kicking it too soon, because it's not going to be the big booming sky punts the way we saw from Stoney. He's been solid. As they say here in the Toyota chat, Aggers redshirt freshman. You guys are correct, I believe, on that. I think I said true freshman at some point. It's late. I have not eaten in 12 hours. I'm thirsty. I'm tired, but I appreciate you guys making sure we get that right. Honestly, maybe I'm going to have to hit up Raising Cane's. It's kind of the other side of town. It is late night, but you can never go wrong when you head into Raising Cane's. I mean, race in for those delicious chicken finger meals served up fast. I could use a fast meal, that's for sure. Tender chicken fingers, crispy crinkle cut fries, the butteriest Texas toast. You can't forget about that creamy coleslaw or the secret Cane's sauce. Find your local Raising Cane's location or order online or mobile. For cooked order, hand-battered chicken fingers, race into Raising Cane's. Turbocharge your chicken fingers and get them even faster by ordering online at raisingcanes.com or through their mobile app, Raising Cane's Chicken Finger One Love. I also want to talk to you guys about Empire today. Nobody does it quite like our friends with Empire. It's the best place to get new flooring. They've got copycats out there, but those copycats, they can't touch Empire. Not on their quality, not on their service, not on their speed. So what they do is they just advertise a bunch of low quality BS. Honestly, products that Empire won't even keep because, a big part of their selection process is what they omit. What they omit is just as important as what they offer. With their virtual floor designer, it's a great way to see how any flooring would look with the space. It's a lot of fun to mess around on. Like if you're just, snapping pictures of your wall. Ooh, let's see, what would this hardwood look like? It's really, really cool. Schedule a free in-home estimate today. All listeners can receive $350 discount when they use the promo code DNVR. Restrictions to apply. See empiretoday.com/DNVR for details. All right. We're going to get out of here in just a second. I am running on fumes, if you cannot tell, but these late night instant reactions are a lot of fun. We're going to try and have them every week throughout the season. Obviously, I have all the written content, my columns, takeaways, everything you guys have been used to over the years as well. If you guys have any questions for me, throw them in the Toyota chat. I will get to as many as I can before we get out of here. More than anything, I just think it was a step in the right direction. I think we could sit here and nitpick about little things until I'm blue in the face, but I think what's important is they're running the ball with more consistency. They're limiting turnovers. They finally created some plays explosively in the passing game this week, which was great to see after not seeing any of that a week ago. And I think we'll see them continue to open up that passing game as the season goes on. But I really do think that being able to run the ball with more consistency, it's going to prove fruitful, and it's going to make a major difference in some of these tight games. And would it have been fun to see BFN throw for 500+ yards? Yeah, it's always fun to see them put up big stats. I'd much rather be able to run the ball in the 4-minute drill in a 1-score game come November than, brag about the 500 yards that you get in September. They're working up things. And, one of the things that Norvell talked about as well is just with the rule changes, you don't get a ton of like true full contact reps in practice, especially in fall camp. You don't have 2-a-days. You've lost a lot of the time you were in practice in full pads at least. So, I think there's some refinement that kind of happens over these next couple of weeks, and we're going to see CSU kind of tweak some things here. Obviously, you've got a huge game coming up. Week 3 doesn't get any bigger than the Rocky Mountain Showdown. First one in Fort Collins, Since '96, we've had a couple in Boulder over the years outside of the Denver, but I'm really excited. And I mean, I didn't obviously have an opportunity to watch the CU Nebraska game tonight. Had it on an iPad, kind of watching in the background, but was able to record it. We'll see. I mean, I think the big difference, or a couple of things that will be big differences in the game, is who can win in the trenches. Obviously, Travis Hunter's incredible, and he's the kind of guy that can beat you by yourself. You've got to figure out what to do with him. Got to get the passing offense going. You want to be able to run the ball again. But yeah, I'm really interested to kind of see what happens there. Shout out to all of you in the Toyota chat. As Eric says, great night. Love the new in-stadium changes. Guy on the mic was fun. Speakers were a lot louder. It wasn't perfect. I didn't think the battering ram was. I think it can be refined. I'll say that. Like, I think it'd be cooler if you were doing it instead of hitting it open and then the team's in there, like to have the team come from behind it. Maybe that's not possible logistically. All I know is it's just encouraging to see the admin trying, because it felt like for so long the approach within that athletic department was just, shucks, what are you going to do? It's tough out there. And I just think it's cool to see these little initiatives like honoring John Mosley and all the details that went into that. I mean, from the flags and the logo, and even something as small as having the hash mark at the 14 be orange in honor of him. I mean, it's just nice to see an effort, and I really do think that it's going to be a pretty fun, rocking atmosphere here as the season goes on. Obviously, you got to win. I mean, nothing will kill the atmosphere faster than a couple of tough losses, but you have an opportunity here to pick up, the biggest home win you've probably had since the goal line stand against Utah back in like 2005 or whatever that was. But I'm interested to see. It cracks me up that despite seeing their team be the exact same team that they were last year, a team that struggled and should have lost to CSU, the just sheer dismissiveness coming in the comment section from the Boulder trolls. But hey, I mean, you guys watched that game tonight, so I don't know what you're watching that makes you think so confident. It's a rivalry game, It's always going to be tight. These teams want it. They genuinely dislike each other in a way that hasn't been true since probably the early 2000s, since like the BVP Clat days. Big time game, big time atmosphere. I can't wait to be there. I'll have all kinds of coverage leading up to it as well as after it. That's all I have for tonight. I'm going to get out of here. I'm absolutely exhausted. Shout out to Tiffany behind the sticks, making this all work. Shout out to all you for staying up late night with us. Always a lot of fun. We'll have lots of content coming your way these next couple of days. Much love, y'all. Always proud to be. Peace.
We all silly like the mayor.